Hi, my name is Phil Gavant, and I'm the creator of the Stratmish Fantasy Sports platform. Daily fantasy sports is a huge industry. There are currently 1.5 million people playing. Unfortunately, the games you are playing, if you're one of them, are corrupt. They should be banned. They give unfair advantages to people who have inside information or are willing to spend money, big money. The little guy gets shafted in that arrangement. Let me explain the two biggest issues that are corrupting these games. Number one, athletes should never be allowed to be shared in the same match. We saw the ramifications of that practice in October 2015. If you're allowed to share players, hackers or people with insider information can pass it along and use it against you in a match, giving the person with that information a completely unfair strategic advantage. Number two, no match should ever allow the same person to have multiple entries. You have sharks who are professionals who have schemes that analyze all the combinations. They'll go into your little 150-person match that promise to pay the top 40% of the people. They'll enter multiple times, take up all these different combinations, and crush you in the match. The little guy loses in that arrangement. As a matter of fact, I had a lottery official come to me and say, will you help us with the regulations in terms of writing the regulations? And my answer was no. I said, regulations will not help. As long as formats on the market are allowed to continue the way they are, we will have a major issue with fantasy sports and they'll shut this thing down. We need to ban formats that allow those two things. Athletes should never be allowed to be shared, and players who enter tournaments or competitions of any kind should never, ever be allowed to have multiple entries in that same match. Let's look at the top player in the industry, FanDuel, who happened to sign a non-disclosure agreement with us because they couldn't believe we were able to do something that we were claiming. This is what DraftKings and FanDuel do with their format. They have two separate entities that run side by side. They're daily fantasy games, which are a lot of fun, but are corrupt because they share athletes and people can play multiple entries in the same competition. And they have their big money tournament. The daily fantasy part stands alone from the tournament. We've combined them. This part isn't illegal about what they do, but it's not a fun gaming format. They allow 300,000 people to play in their big money tournament. You can win about $1 million, $2 million if you can beat 300,000 people at the same time. Folks, that is a lottery. It's like a professional fighter like Mike Tyson, who was the toughest fighter in the world, fighting 300,000 people at the same time. Let's say they're all in a stadium fighting each other. Tyson might be the best fighter, but there's no possible way that he's going to, well, he might, but the odds are very strong that he's going to end up losing and someone else will emerge. That's what's going on with the FanDuel model, the DraftKings model, and other people offering these big money tournaments. We've got a better way of doing it. We're merging the daily fantasy sports with our big money tournament. What we do is we go to the person and say, hey, look, you can't share athletes. You can only have one entry per competition that you're in. You can be in multiple competitions, but you can only have one entry in each competition. That eliminates the corruption. That makes it fair, a level playing field for everybody playing. So what we do is we say, hey, enter for what you like, $1 to $100. If you enter for $100 and you finish in the top 4 out of 10, you double your money. You're at $200 and you have a decision to make. Do you want to enter another group of 10 and try to finish in the top 4? Or do you want to opt out and collect your $200? If you enter another group of 10, you're trying to double your money again. So now you're playing for $400. You can do this up to 15 rounds. You can parlay a $100 entry by finishing the top 4 15 times. That will parlay to $3.2 million. You don't have to finish first in any of those rounds. Just finish 4th or better. The other strength about our program is we have something for the little guy too, who just likes to play fantasy sports and says, I want to enter something and who knows, maybe I have enough skill to really do something great. You can enter for $1 and play the double your money game. So if you enter for $1 and play in a group of 10, this is very competitive stuff. This is skills-based. People aren't sharing players. We're not allowing the same person to have 7 of the spots in this group of 10. One entry per group of 10. If you are somebody who enters for $1 and you double your money because you finish in the top 4, all of a sudden you got $2. Big deal. But you can keep going up through 10 rounds and qualify for a mega tournament that gives $10 million to the winner. That's exciting stuff for fantasy players because it's skill-based, and all of a sudden you qualify by finishing the top 4 10 straight times. You're in this mega tournament, and it's also skill-based. It's a 6-round tournament where you're playing in groups of 10. You're never playing a lottery. That's the kind of stuff that excites fantasy sports fanatics. They want to play stuff that's on the level, that's competitive, that's skills-based. The other models out there do not do that. They're corrupt. And I urge you to go to stratmish.org to learn more about what we have. And there's other opportunities. You can actually share in the profits of our gaming platform. We have the only gaming format in the business that can't be corrupted. One of the reasons why we're going to the public right now is because we've had people interested in purchasing or investing in our organization. But my motivation is to use most of the proceeds for this gaming platform to help disadvantaged communities. There's more information on our website about it, but most importantly, whether you have any interest in participating in the Stratmish program or not, this video should go viral and go to every fantasy sports player out there who plays these corrupt games, and you should put your foot down and say no more of this. This is unacceptable. We're not going to play games that can be manipulated by players to give some people a huge advantage over other people.